Good morning and welcome to our service. We hope you have a meaningful experience and will join us again. Our monthly meet and greet will take place today from 1 to 2 in Unity House. New and established congregants are invited to gather to get to know one another for this special social time. I hope to see you there. Have you been thinking about becoming a member of our congregation? We hope so and invite you to participate in the February Pathway to Membership class, which will be hosted on February 13th and 20th from 1 to 3. Please contact me for more details. I may be reached at tlewis@unitytemple.org, or you can go to our website and fill out a visitor form at www.unitytemple.org. I look forward to hearing from you soon.
Good morning. My name is Aisha, and I serve on your Board of Trustees. It is my pleasure to welcome you here this morning. If you're here for the first time, thank you for joining us. We look forward to getting to know you. We invite everyone present in the sanctuary today to join our in-person community time immediately following the service. Our online Zoom community time will happen right after the service. The link can be found in the e-beacon or this Friday's email, or you may send an email to tlewis@unitytemple.org to request a link. We appreciate everyone wearing your mask, covering your mouth and nose during the service as a way to protect everyone, especially our children and those among us who may not be able to be vaccinated. If you find yourself needing to take a break from your mask, we invite you to go to the patio and come back when you're ready. Each week, we remind ourselves of our congregation's core values: connection, transformation, justice, and acceptance. Our mission is to embody these core values in our daily lives by welcoming all, inspiring compassion, nurturing wonder, and serving community. Welcoming all means we work together to foster a culture of radical hospitality. Here in this community, we build relationships with people across boundaries of race, class, and other identities that divide us. We are so glad you are here with us today. We hope you find the service inspiring and meaningful. I invite you now to take a moment to greet your neighbors online and in the sanctuary. Thank you.
Good morning.
I know, right? Yeah, right.
Our chalice lighters today are the sibling team of Gigi and Eamon Schnitz. Gigi likes reading, dancing, pink, and unicorns. And Eamon knows the squares up to 13, so please feel free to quiz him. We are Unitarian Universalists. This is the church of the open mind, the loving hearts, and the helping hands. We take care of the planet Earth and each other.
Our call to worship this morning is from Unitarian theologian James Luther Adams, entitled, "I Call That Church Free." I call that church free which enters into covenant with the ultimate source of existence, that sustaining and transforming power not made with human hands. It binds together families and generations, protecting against the idolatry of any human claim to absolute truth or authority. This covenant is the charter and responsibility and joy of worship in the face of death as well as life. I call that church free which brings individuals into a caring, trusting fellowship that protects and nourishes their integrity and spiritual freedom that yearns to belong to the church universal. It is open to insight and conscience from every source. It bursts through rigid tradition, giving rise to new and living language, to new and broader fellowship. It is a pilgrim church, a servant church on the adventure of the Spirit. The goal is the prophethood and priesthood of all believers, the one for liberty of prophesying, the other for the ministry of healing. It aims to find unity in diversity under the promptings of the Spirit that bloweth where it listeth and maketh all things new. Whoever you are, wherever you are on life's journey, and wherever you are in the world, you are welcome here. Come, let us worship together.
When life flows on in endless song above earth's lamentation, I hear the real, though far off hymn that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? What though the tempest round me roars? I know the truth it liveth. What though the darkness round me close? Songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since love prevails in heaven and earth, how can bells of freedom ringing, when friends rejoice both far and near, how can I keep from singing to prison cell and dungeon vile? Our hot thoughts to them are winging, when friends by shame are undefiled. How can I keep from singing?
Please join me in saying and reading our covenant. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with God.
Good morning. I'm Diana Coates, and I'm one of your pastoral associates. It's the time in the service when we recall the joys and sorrows of this past week, those things that have inspired us and moved our spirit. We are a community whose mission commits us to inspiring compassion for ourselves, in our lives, and for our church. We'd like to know about your joys and sorrows, your milestones, celebrations, losses, and significant events. We wish to companion you, with you, and connect with you in those times. If you would like your joy or sorrow shared in the service, please email us at pastoralassociatesunitytemple.org. Let's see. You also may, if you're home, hello home people, you can put it in the chat now. We won't see it, but we'll know about it. Please hold in your heart Alice O'Cray and her family. Her cousin, David Norman, passed away this past Thursday. David was one of 10 siblings. On his 10th birthday, his youngest sister, Dolores, was born at home. His parent turned to him and said, "Here's your birthday present." He called her his birthday present throughout his life and all the way up to last week. May he rest in peace. Jay Peterson's older brother, Paul, died on February 1st. Paul was 75 and is survived by his wife, 2 children, 4 grandchildren, and 5 siblings. A family man, a worker, a professional policeman, and detective. He is in the light now, into the mystery, and at peace after a prolonged struggle with dementia and Parkinson's disease. Michael James Aldous, 49, lifelong Oak Parker and devoted partner of Molly Whiteburn and loving presence in the lives of her children, died this past week. Excuse me. Michael was just 49. Visitation will be this Friday at Hurston Funeral Home, Hillside. From David Robbins, I lost my youngest brother. He had a heart attack while snorkeling the reefs in St. Lucia. He died in paradise, living a life he loved. He left me tons of bourbon. Violence touches the lives of many, both outside and inside our community. We pray for all those whose lives have been impacted by violence as either victims or perpetrators. And let us hold in our hearts our joys and sorrows, spoken as well as unspoken, but present in this community as we enter into a few moments of reflection. This next reading is from Joan Borisenko, and Joan Borisenko is a cell biologist trained at Harvard, an author, and anyway, it's just a nice little reading here. To put my glasses on, just one moment, please. This month, we will deepen the meditation practice through ancient meditation, including the Buddhist practice of metta, or loving kindness, through awareness and owning of our projections, through the help of the angelic realm, and through our intention to love and serve. We will remember how to open our hearts and let go of the poison of self-hate that keeps our souls in bondage. In this way, we will restore our place in the great wheel of life, that we may treat the earth and all her children with the greatest respect and love. February is a perfect time for the flowering of compassion. Listen to the voices of the ancient ones as they penetrate the winter stillness. The seeds are beginning to stir in the dark womb of the Mother Earth. Days grow longer, and Brother Bear stretches in his den as our hearts likewise stir, and open in love and wisdom, and the energies of the North support us in this practice of loving kindness and the birth of compassion. I love that, the birth of compassion. Namaste. May the spark in me, that spark of goodness, resonate with you, and in that we are one. Namaste.
I am wearing a different stole than I usually do this morning, and this is a stole. I'm going to show you a little bit of it. This is a stole that I received when I was ordained, when there was a service that officially made me into a minister. And this morning, later in the service, Mandy and Dawn and Sunny Hall are going to be talking about what it means to help someone become a minister. A minister is one of those jobs where you have to learn lots and lots of different things, like preach and tell stories and teach classes and go to meetings and lead groups and do weddings and memorial services and speak out in public and listen to people. And you can study all those things in books, but you can't really learn about how to do them. So usually, like I did, and Don and Mandy did, you get to work in a congregation and practice all those things. I was an intern in a Unitarian Universalist congregation in Carlisle, Massachusetts, and it was great because they had been a teaching congregation for a long, long time, and so they were experts at helping me learn and letting me make mistakes and being patient and kind and honest. The thing about being a minister is that when you learn from other people, with other people, and because of other people. And so when I got ordained, I wanted to show all that. So all of the squares on this stole are from people who helped me along my journey to become a minister. I have some from friends and family, of course, and there are a lot from the Carlisle congregation where I was the intern minister. There's a square from the children's worship tablecloth, and there's a square from the quilt that they had hanging in their sanctuary. There's a piece that has the music from a song we sang at a women's retreat. There's a piece from a quilt made by a special woman who died while I was there. There's one from a parishioner's receiving blanket from when her children were born. Some are from the clothes of the kids that were part of the congregation. The lining of the stole is from my internship supervisor, Woody Woodrick, and his wife, Trudy. So each one has a story. When the congregation gave me this stole at my ordination, they said, "We hope those stories will remind you of our love and give you strength and wisdom as you feel us supporting you throughout your ministry and your life." I'm so grateful to them for all their stories and to all of you for all of yours. If you are a young person and would like to come out to Unity House and do some activities for all ages, I invite you to come out of the sanctuary with me.
Being a musician during a pandemic can be a lonely experience. So one of the things I've learned to do is play all by my lonesome with a loop pedal. So when you hear my voice, again, it's not a recording. I'm doing it right now. And it's another way to be with myself musically, all by myself. You belong, you belong, you belong. 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 Lay them down. You belong, you belong, you belong. Be here now. You belong, you belong, you belong. Lay them down. Find a breath. Be here now. Every voice, every song, every triumph, every wrong, belong, you belong, you belong home. You belong, you belong, you belong home. Every heart, everyone, lost, forgotten, wandering alone. You belong, you belong, you belong, you belong home. You belong, you belong, you belong home. Come make our circle wider. Come inside, our hope grows brighter. Come make this table full. Just find a chair, no push, no pull. We've been waiting here so long. Open doors, wanna hear your song. Just know you belong, you belong, you belong, you belong home. You belong, you belong, you belong home. Tell us your story, yeah, you can bring it all. When you're broken, you belong, you are feeling strong. You belong, yeah, you belong. When you're up and celebrating, when you're scared or frustrated, you belong, you belong, you belong, you belong home. You belong, you belong, you belong, you belong home. Come make this table wider. Come inside, our hopes grow brighter. Come make this table full. Just find a chair, no push, no pull. We've been waiting here so long. Open doors, wanna hear your song. Just know you belong. You belong, you belong, you belong, please lay them down. You belong, you belong, you belong, be here now. You belong, you belong, you belong, lay them down. You belong, you belong, you belong, be here now. Rest your wearies, lay them down. Find a breath, be here now.
Good morning. It's so good to see so many of you here. Well, for a long time, Unity Temple has been a teaching congregation, helping to form the next generation of Unitarian Universalist ministers. As we near the end of our current intern minister's time with us, it seems fitting to talk about this tradition and what it means to the intern, to the congregation, and to the supervising minister for Unity Temple to be a teaching congregation. So we're doing things a little bit differently today, which I'm guessing you picked up on already. Sitting here together, we have representatives from each of these stakeholder communities. We have Mandy, the current intern minister. We have me, her supervisor. And we have Sunny Hall, a member of several internship committees, including Mandy's. We're going to share a dialogue about ministry, about ministerial formation, and really about the sacred duty that teaching congregations engage in. Let's start with the basics. What is a minister?
Well, I think a minister supports and guides and challenges a congregation of people who are living through all stages of life and with different life experiences in their search for spiritual meaning, sort of like glue in a community of seekers of the meaning of life, both their individual lives and their community life.
That is a great definition, Sunny, and I agree with everything you said. I want to emphasize the collective community here because ultimately a minister is a community builder, both inside a congregation but also outside of the congregation. Ministers understand that our lives are relational and they're trained to create connections between people and groups that change this world for the better. Cultivating and maintaining these connections can be hard, and ministers are trained to navigate tensions and foster healthy connection systems that change individuals and communities.
I would add that a minister is also a spiritual leader. Not that we have all the answers, heaven knows we don't, but we are people you can come to with your questions, particularly meaning of life questions like, why am I here? And what has meaning? And how should I live knowing that one day I will die? We care both for individuals and for the congregation as a system so that the congregation can be a place where people can find hope, healing, and so much more. We use the phrase pastoral formation to describe the process of becoming a minister. So why might an internship be so important to pastoral formation, Mandy?
The internship is where the head knowledge that I have spent my years in seminary finding meets the heart. This is the embodiment of becoming a minister. Being a minister is both individual to a person's calling and skills, and it's universal because being a minister means something to the greater world. There's a shared ministerial identity. This is less about performing Sunday services or leading education classes, and it's more about taking and becoming a minister with a minister's mindset. Understanding the relational power of community and understanding ministerial power. An intern learns to embody the role of a minister in an internship, in relationship with the congregation, with all of you. That means the congregation needs to understand what it means to be a minister so that they can teach this to the intern, to me. An intern needs to understand the power they are holding as a minister and how to be a good steward of that authority. Something a congregation teaches an intern. This is the sacred obligation of being a minister and the sacred obligation of a congregation training a minister. Sunny?
Well, if the meaning of sacred in UUism is something like transformative or life-changing, then that sacred obligation is a tall order for both the intern and the congregation. I actually think there's a place for a sense of humor in spiritual development, both for ministers and for their congregations. In other words, allowing for mistakes, followed by reconciliation, with none of us taking ourselves too seriously. So what would you two say is the role of a congregation in forming a minister?
Oh, yes, Sunny, it's the transformation piece that you speak about. And humor and grace are ideal elements to incorporate in this process because the seriousness of the obligation, we need that humor and grace. A congregation that commits to pastoral formation through an internship has an obligation to give an intern opportunities to embrace the embodiment of that ministerial role. This happens as a minister preaches and leads, but it also happens when an intern is asked to consider the circumstances of a church. For example, when a challenge arises in a congregation, an intern can reflect on the problem with their supervisor, their internship committee, and other lay leaders to walk through the dimensions of the conflict and talk through possible scenarios of resolving it. This helps an intern grasp the nuances of ministry, the power dynamics involved, the ethical role that a minister has, all while focusing on the mission and vision of a congregation. This doesn't mean an intern is the decision maker, but that we're given space to explore what we would do in a future situation that might be similar. It's also the dialogue that happens between the congregation and the intern. I solicit feedback from my internship committee, from my supervisor, and from all of the committee chairs that I work with. I need their honest and kind responses so I can adapt if a mistake has been made or if a decision was not ideal. Being a teaching congregation is a sacred obligation because it's forming a minister. Teaching an intern doesn't just impact what is happening here in the 2 years I'm with you. It impacts my entire career and all the congregations I interact with. The more interaction I have with you, the more feedback I get, the more areas of congregational life I experience, the more prepared I am to serve other congregations.
I know that, like Reverend Emily shared in her message for all ages, I will never, ever forget my internship congregation, the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Ames, Iowa. But unlike Reverend Emily's congregation, I was actually their first intern. And I agree so much with what Mandy says. Both the congregation and my internship supervisor loved me into being a minister. They challenged me to grow. They spoke the truth to me in love. They gave me room to reflect. They gave me room to make mistakes, to try things that I never thought I would have been able to try. We laughed together, and we cried together. And internship congregations give opportunities for so many pivotal first moments in ministry. First memorial service, first wedding, first emergency call to the hospital in crisis, first time giving pastoral care to somebody over multiple times in sessions. Here at Unity Temple, you are geographically very close to Meadville Lombard, one of our 2 Unitarian Universalist seminaries. Because of this geographic proximity and because of your historical status of this building, you have been and will continue to be a desirable internship site. And I've heard so much about your past interns. It is clear that you love having them. Assuming you want to consider being a teaching congregation in the future, this will be one of the things that you will want to consider when you engage in the search process for your next minister. And it's also something to consider for your budget process in the future. For a congregation this size, the standard rate for a ministerial intern is about $2,300 a month, which is substantially more than was budgeted for this year. But it isn't just the next minister and the budget that you want to consider. You may want to formalize your process by listing your internship with the Unitarian Universalist Association to attract a broad pool of applicants. You have to be ready for someone who may be very, very green to come and try things out, including probably have some pretty big failures. So you also have to be patient and kind and have that sense of humor Sunny talked about. And then there's an internship committee. Sunny, you've been on several internship committees. What is the role of the internship committee, and how do you all do this work?
I think the reason we love having interns is the joy, of trying really to be with an intern as they grow and develop. Intern committee members represent and understand different ages and stages of life and come with varied life experiences. We try to mentor an intern by respecting their self-reflection, which I think is a powerful tool for learning, and by sharing our own responses and those of congregants who share their honest reactions to an intern's worship leadership or group or committee work or interactions. We're asked to write pretty comprehensive observations of an intern's work for the UUA evaluations. I guess I see our role as mentorship.
My internship committee, Vanessa Crowder, Nina Brewer-Davis, Elle Morton, Sunny Hall, and Jay Cohen have been such a gift to me. They've provided me with great feedback about the things I've been doing, wrapping their critiques in kindness and in care, giving me space to make mistakes with no judgment but gentle correction. And they supported me when there were significant struggles. One of the things we do in our meetings is to look at my sermons and services. And one of the techniques that I will be taking with me came from Sunny, and it's the self-reflection she talked about. Before the committee gives me feedback, I actually critique myself first. And this has cultivated a practice of self-learning that I now use in other areas of my life. It has been a gift. Dawn, you have supervised a few interns. Why would a minister want to supervise an intern? And what's the role of a supervising minister?
Well, one of the reasons I was so excited to come to Unity Temple to be your interim minister, and let me tell you, switching between intern and interim is a diction lesson. But one of the reasons I was excited to come here was because you are a teaching congregation. I love supervising intern ministers. For one, they challenge me to think about things differently than maybe I have before. It requires a different level of theological and ecclesiastical reflection than I might normally do. And when I sometimes get stuck on the dance floor in ministry, engaged in the day-to-day, supervising interns makes me get up on the balcony where I can look at the congregation that I'm serving as a system. Interns ask why a lot, and I love their enthusiasm and willingness to try new things. Also, one of the most rewarding aspects of being a minister is to be able to mentor another minister, and in the process feel my own call to ministry renewed. And I always learn a lot. But one thing I have learned that I learned very quickly is that having an intern is not like having another minister. They take a lot of time, not only with regular supervisory meetings, but also because I am not doing my job as an internship supervisor if I am not giving them feedback on what they are doing, which means I have to pay a lot of attention to what they are doing. I want to read through their sermons and give them feedback before Sunday morning, and then debrief with them how it went after the sermon. I want to read through their newsletter columns. I want to watch them in action leading committee meetings and even in pastoral care meetings. These things all take time. Having an intern minister takes time from the supervising minister. Now, don't get me wrong, Mandy, it has absolutely been a pleasure to be your supervisor these past few months and to participate with you in your formation. And I'm excited to journey with you through these next few months as you're in search for a congregation to settle in. And you have now experienced two very different ministers as supervisors. How has that been for you?
Being a ministerial intern during a transition and a pandemic has been hard and totally not what I anticipated when I started my journey. And I suspect that I have learned more in my 2 years with you all than some ministers live in their entire careers. I have watched this process, And I have worked with two ministers who have very different approaches to ministry. I've watched the process of transition. I have watched your struggles. The bumps in my internship have deeply impacted how I think about ministry. Since ministerial formation is about embodying the role of a minister, you all here at Unity Temple have helped me learn that in one of the most challenging times of your history. And it's an honor to see how you as a congregation have thrived in the midst of the struggle. The gifts of your resilience as a congregation is a blessing, resilience that I will use in my future ministries. This may not have been a normal internship, but I have learned more than I ever thought possible. To be honest, when I thought about an internship, I wasn't sure what I would learn. Not that I know everything, but I have a lot of congregational life experience already, and I have learned. As you all consider moving forward, one thing I hope for Unity Temple is that you all consider creating a formalized process for being a teaching congregation, that you take on this role more clearly and fully, that you create a formal process for applying and accepting interns.
Including maybe a fair stipend.
Right. Sunny, what about you? What are your hopes for Unity Temple as a teaching congregation?
Well, I do want to honor the really hard work that every intern I've known does to learn how to best meet the needs of their and our congregation. I believe they have all seen their ministry as a sacred obligation, and I recognize how lucky we are to be here for them. I wish more people knew that we, and especially the interns, want to hear their thoughts and ideas, both directly to you and to us, the intern committee, for sharing with you. And I have seen transformation, ours and theirs, in our work together. So our obligation is sacred too. I see that. Interns bring their unique gifts, and they deserve the gift of direct and honest teaching and mentoring in return. I'd like for us to learn how to do that more effectively and intentionally, and I've just learned that formally becoming a teaching congregation might help.
Thank you, Sunny and Dawn, for this conversation. This has been so helpful for me to help frame the importance of an internship, and I hope you all understand a little bit better about what it means to have a ministerial intern in your congregation. But most of all, I want to share with all of you my gratitude for letting me be your intern, for letting me watch your processes, for letting me see your resilience. Thank you for this opportunity.
May it be so.
May it be so.
Each week, Unity Temple gives our offering to an organization that aligns with our values. This Sunday's collection will support our member contribution to the Unitarian Universalist Association, serving the needs of approximately 1,000 member congregations, including innovative resources for worship, learning, and justice. Our relationship with the Unitarian Universalist Association has deepened in the last year with the support that Unity Temple continues to receive from the Reverend David Pyle on governance and on ministerial transitions, help in finding me, your interim minister, and the resources various committees and the board are using to assist us in tackling some of the deferred maintenance we are experiencing. And should you formalize your internship process, they are there to help you with that as well. You may donate by placing cash or check in the donation box in the front pew on the main floor after the service, sending a check to the Unity Temple office with UUA in the memo line, or by following the instructions on your screen. May what you give bring you joy.
Wake now, my senses, and hear the earth call. Feel the deep power of being in awe. Keep with the web of creation your vow. Giving, receiving, as love shows us how. Wake now, my reason, reach out to the new. Join with each pilgrim who quests for the true. Honor the beauty and wisdom of time. Suffer thy limit and praise the sublime. Wake now, compassion, give heed to the cry. Voices of suffering fill the white sky. Take as your neighbor both stranger and friend, praying and striving their hardship to end.
Our closing words are by Olympia Brown. Stand by this faith. Work for it. Sacrifice for it. There is nothing in the world so important as to be loyal to this faith, which has placed before us the loftiest ideals, which has comforted us in sorrow, strengthened us for noble duty, and made the world beautiful. Do not demand immediate results, but rejoice that we are worthy to be entrusted with this great message, that you are strong enough to work for a great, true principle without counting the cost. Go on finding ever new applications of these truths and new enjoyments in their contemplation, always trusting in the one God which ever lives and loves.
I stood at the bottom, terrified by its size. I could slide off the edge if the wind blew, and at mine. Is there enough? Is there enough? I have a brother. He sailed across the sea. At 14, he planned his trip, every port, every country. At 18, he took that trip, along with my family's blessing, while I sat on the shag carpet, watching Donnie and Marie. There was enough. There was enough. It's the instinct to survive, a desire to thrive, a calling from inside. There is enough. Well, I climbed up that slide, sat on top, surveyed the sky. Down I went with the wind as my guide. My brother, he came back. It took him 10 years. He was weathered and new scars had appeared. It's the instinct to survive, a desire to thrive, a calling from inside. It's the instinct to survive, a desire to thrive, a calling from inside. You are enough. When the sky is dark and there's no lighted path, when the elders are gone and there's silence in the aftermath, is it ridiculous to struggle when you've got just what you need? Well, that slide is gone now, but still it beckons me. It's the instinct to survive, a desire to thrive, a calling from inside. It's the instinct to survive, a desire to thrive, a calling from inside. It's the instinct to survive, a desire to thrive, a calling from inside. There is, it's the instinct to survive, a desire to thrive, a calling from inside. Oh, there is, it's the what you gotta do, that's what you gotta do. What you gotta do to get yourself calling from inside. There is, it's not what you gotta do, it's what you ought to do, it's what you're gonna do. Get yourself calling from inside. There is, it's not instinct to survive, a desire to thrive, calling from inside. There is, it's not instinct to survive, a desire to thrive, calling from inside. calling from inside. There is enough. What you gotta do is what you gotta do, so what you gonna do to get yourself through? What you gotta do is what you're gonna do, so what you gotta do to get yourself through. There is enough.
Carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again. Go in peace.